Welcome to WVU Men's Basketball Chat on the dpost.com. I'm Todd Murray, joined by our WVU Men's Basketball writer Justin Jackson. Justin, Mountaineers, after almost a week off, returning to the Coliseum with TCU Saturday, a sold-out Coliseum, I might add. And I know the Mountaineers looking to get back on the winning track after a 27-point loss at Texas.
Well, the first thing that they really kind of worked on this week was themselves. Instead of focusing on TCU, they kind of did that later in the week. But early on in the week, they practiced Monday and Tuesday and kind of focused on fundamentals, Coach Huggins said, and they just kind of focusing more on getting back to what they do well, which is their full court pressure, which is creating steals, creating turnovers, something that they didn't really do very well against Texas, obviously. So, you kind of hope to see maybe the shooting, maybe shooting will improve a little bit, after working on it for a week. And, those are the kind of things that they focused on. And then later in the week, starting Thursday, Friday, they started to focus more on TCU, which is a team that'll come in and play very hard. They have a lot of experienced players and players who have been through Big 12 battles and been through Big 12 games and tournaments and, kind of know what it's like to play on the road in this league. So, TCU certainly is no pushover. People will look at their conference record and they struggled last year because they had so many players injured, but this is not the same kind of TCU team. It's a more experienced and has better talent.
Right. I mean, it's hard to let go of a 27-point loss on the road, even to a good Texas team. I know this Big 12 conference season has been crazy with teams beating each other by 20 or more points, but obviously WVU's last three, I think, results against Texas have to be concerning because the Longhorns have dominated.
Yeah, it's a 4-game losing streak now against Texas. And I kind of think, I'm not sure if everyone will agree with me, but I kind of think the Texas game is kind of an anomaly because West Virginia just doesn't really match up well with Texas. I mean, and a lot of teams aren't going to match up well with Texas because very few teams have the size of a guy like Cameron Ridley, who's 6'9", 285 pounds, and then they bring in Prince Ebay off the bench, and he's 6'11", 260, and then they have Jonathan Holmes, who's 6'8", and Connor Lamert, who's 6'8", and they have so many guys. Miles Turner, who's probably going to be a one-and-done kind of prospect. He's a 6'11" center who can shoot from the outside and power on the inside, and so West Virginia doesn't have that kind of size to match up. And so then when you say Texas beats them as bad as they did, and especially at Texas, people are going to say, well, maybe it's the kind of the old things creeping back into West Virginia. But I really don't see it that way. I see it just kind of a bad matchup. I think Oklahoma has a bad matchup against WVU, which might explain why WVU beat Oklahoma by 21. But then Oklahoma kind of presents matchup problems to Texas because of the speed and the way they can stretch out a defense. And then they go into Texas and beat Texas by 21. So it's kind of individual matchups in this league. Some teams might pose problems for some teams that maybe other teams won't. And so I think when you look at that Texas loss, you kind of just say, okay, it happened, you get over it. I don't think it's really as devastating as what it looks to be on paper.
Yeah, of course, regardless of who the Mountaineers are playing, they need performances from guys like Jonathan Holton and Juwan Staten, and those two have been struggling here lately. What's been going on?
Well, I mean, certainly if you look at Texas, Jonathan Holton played 8 minutes and fouled out and had a great start to that game. He had a slam dunk and a three-pointer to start the game in like the first 5 seconds or 10 seconds of the game, and then really struggled with foul troubles the rest of the way. Juwan has kind of struggled the last couple of games, and of course he was getting over the illness, which I don't think that's really much of a factor, but still when you're coming off the illness and trying to get back into the swing of things, it can be a little difficult maybe, but he's scored 7 points in his last 2 Big 12 games, and actually him and Holton were on the bench because they were struggling in a key portion of that Texas game. And if you're going to beat a team like Texas or like a Kansas, which WVU will play later in the year, you're going to need the best out of Holton, and you're going to need the best out of Juwan, and I certainly that's going to be a big key going forward is how well those two guys play. But you're also going to need contributions from the bench, which you didn't get against Texas, so you're going to need to continue to get that, and you'll need more from other players too. A Nate Adrian, a Javon Carter, just Dax Miles. It's going to have to be kind of a team effort, but if you kind of look at it from the top, it's going to have to start with Holton and State, and they're going to have to produce a little bit more.
All right, we'll see how it all plays out Saturday at the Coliseum, the TCU Horned Frogs in town. Justin, thanks for your time as always, and please continue to follow our WVU men's basketball coverage on thedpost.com.